Well, the race is on to be the next Prime Minister of Canada. Justin Trudeau on Monday said he will give way to his successor when the Liberal Party of Canada chooses a new leader, which will likely be sometime in mid-March. Our chief political correspondent, David Akin, joins us now for a look at the Liberal leadership race and the likelihood of a spring election. All right, David, great to see you. Let's start with the leadership. It's an incredibly tough time for the Liberals. So who exactly wants Trudeau's job?
Well, I think there'll be lots of people. The first one out of the gate is a guy named Frank Baylis. Who's he? Well, Frank was a former Montreal MP, a Liberal MP from 2015 to 2019. Didn't really get along with Trudeau, didn't run again. So he's in. Now, with all respect to Mr. Baylis, I don't think he's a leading candidate, but nonetheless, the Liberal MPs I've spoke to over the last few days, I've spoke to about 40 of them, and the name that comes up most often is Dominic LeBlanc, the current finance minister, New Brunswick MP, one of Justin Trudeau's best friends. So his name comes up a lot as having the political skills to perhaps match up on Pierre Poilievre. Certainly Mark Carney's name has been in the news quite a bit, but there's not as much support in the caucus for Carney as Carney might think. They think he's a tremendous resume. He's the former central bank governor, but they don't know if he's really got the political chops. Chrystia Freeland, the former finance minister, her name comes up. Same kind of admiration from the caucus, but again, concerns about her political chops. So those may be the top tier. Then there's a whole bunch of cabinet ministers. Foreign Affairs Minister Melanie Joly, the Natural Resources Minister Jonathan Wilkinson from BC is interested. François-Philippe Champagne, the Innovation Minister, many in caucus like him for the job. Transport Minister Anita Anand from Oakville. So there might be lots in cabinet right now that may want to put up their hand as well. But the key is right now is the rules. None of those people, except for Frank Baylis, are going to put their hand up and say, I want to run, until they know how much it's going to cost to get in the race. It could be $250,000, $300,000. It's going to cost some money. And so all of those people will have to assess, can they raise that cash? And if they think they can, then you can expect them to put their hand up. But again, the key is we won't really know for sure who wants the job until we know the rules. The party says it's meeting this week, don't know if that's today or tomorrow, to decide the rules. But clearly, it's an urgent question. What are the rules and how much cash does it cost? And then we'll know who wants Trudeau's job.
But David, can a new Liberal leader really make a difference in the election? I mean, the Liberals under Trudeau have been so far behind for so long. Does the party think it can beat Pierre Poilievre's Conservatives simply by changing leaders?
You know, elections do matter. I'm a firm believer in that, but there's no data point over the last 2 years to suggest that simply changing leaders is going to erase a 20-point deficit. Liberals are realistic about this point. And what Liberals have been telling me is saying, had they had to run under Justin Trudeau, they're doing polling in their own ridings. And they know that they were facing a certain loss. 100 of them, 120 of them could have lost their seats. And they're thinking anybody's got to be better. Now, maybe 80 of them lose their seats. But for the party, it was the difference between being knocked all the way back to third spot in the House of Commons, maybe even the fourth spot. But with a new leader, Liberals believe that it's a realistic possibility they could be the official opposition, at least, in the next election. If there's some miracle, maybe they hold the Conservatives to a minority. But there's just about no Liberal I speak to that realistically thinks that in the next 3 months they could turn around their fortunes so significantly with just by changing a leader that they might overtake Pierre Poilievre's Conservatives.
All right, that brings us then to the election itself once the leadership race is done. With yesterday's announcement by the Prime Minister and the reaction from the other leaders, what do we know about election timing?
Well, you can expect to cast a ballot, I think, in May. All three leaders, and that includes the New Democrat Jagmeet Singh, saying that's it. At the first opportunity, they will all vote non-confidence in the current government, whoever's leading it. Now, the government's prorogued till March 24th, and the rules mean that on March 24th, the government and whoever's leading it has to present a throne speech. And throne speeches always followed by a confidence vote in that throne speech. So that will be the first opportunity. There's usually a couple of days of debate on a throne speech, so that vote could happen in April. And we'd be off to the races then. Now, a new leader could say, to heck with the throne speech, we're just going to go straight to the polls, and that would happen perhaps in late March. But again, given a 6-week election period or so, we're looking at a May vote, mid-May, late May, but I think we're going to have a new prime minister by June. And again, looking at all the polls right now, his name will be Pierre Poilievre.
All right, it's going to be a hectic few months, David. As always, thank you so much for that. We'll leave it there for now, but we'll speak to you again soon.
Thanks.
That is our chief political correspondent, David Akin, joining us from the nation's capital.